Another really popular question we have been receiving is, can I transfer my immigration case to another US embassy or consulate? What does that look like? What is the process? Is it even possible? And a few of the people that were asking this question on the YouTube channel were saying, "Hey, my fiance or my spouse, they happen to be living, for example, in Canada, but they're a citizen of Australia. Can they have their interview there, or do they have to go back to Australia?" And then others who were asking were saying, "Hey, the embassy in our country is closed." For example, Russia, the US embassy there is closed and interviews don't occur. So are we able to transfer the case to another embassy? Right now they're being handled by Warsaw, Poland, but if you're not able to obtain the Schengen visa to go to that embassy location, it can be quite complicated. So the short answer is, for any context in which you're wanting to transfer your case, yes, it is possible. So again, to kind of back up for those of you who are new to the process and give you a 30,000-foot view, part of the fiancé visa and spouse visa process involves an interview at a U.S. embassy or consulate abroad. And during that interview, the officer will ask you questions about your case and your background to decide whether or not to give you the visa, to approve your visa. So typically that interview will occur in the country of citizenship of the immigrant beneficiary. So if you were born in Australia, then your interview would occur in Sydney, right? And so just depending on the country in which you were born or where you have citizenship, that is the country that immigration will default to for the US embassy or consulate for you to attend your interview. Now, in this global world with people moving all over, working all over, it is possible that you might be living in another country like Canada. Maybe you have residency there as well, or you have a work permit. And so you can actually request to have your interview in the country where you are actually physically residing and living. And so you either make that request with your initial application, with your petition, or if it's something that happens after the fact, then you would have to reach out to the embassy where you're wanting to transfer your case. So you'd have to reach out to the embassy, for example, in Montreal, Canada, if that's where you wanted to have your interview, and ask for them to transfer your case there. Now, the embassy, the US embassy or consulate, they have what's called full discretion to decide whether or not they want to say yes or no. They don't have to accept your case. And in some countries, the US embassy or consulate has very strict requirements. And the one that comes top of mind for me is that in the United Arab Emirates and UAE, the embassy there is Abu Dhabi. We actually have had clients, that have worked and lived in Dubai or in United Arab Emirates. And if they only have a work permit, Abu Dhabi typically will not accept the case. They're very strict. They want you to be a resident there for them to let you have your interview there in Abu Dhabi. It really depends. It's on a case-by-case basis. It depends on that U.S. embassy and consulate, their requirements at the time, and whether or not they have the bandwidth or the ability to accept your case. You're always able to ask, but it's not guaranteed. So the short answer is yes, you can transfer your case. You have to ask the embassy where you're wanting to transfer the case if they will accept it, and you have to be willing, or understand rather, maybe not willing, but understand that they can say no. And then you can look and try other US embassies or consulates if there are others where you would like to transfer your case to see if they will accept it. Otherwise, you would have to complete your interview at the location that is assigned by immigration. All right. So I hope that helps give you clarity on that question. And again, for those of you who are just joining us or watching on one of our other social media platforms like YouTube, I invite you on over to check out our free resource center at immigrationforcouples.com. We have tons of free resources. We have charts that go over the steps involved in the fiancé visa process, and also a really great guide on how to prove to immigration that you have a real relationship based on love. So I hope you'll check that out and hope to see you there. Okay, so let's see if I have any. Okay. So Nina, can you update your passport during the spouse visa process? So I don't want to assume. I'm not sure if you are the US citizen or if you would be the immigrant beneficiary. In general, yes, you can always update your passport. You'll just want to make sure you will have it in time for the interview and to complete the National Visa Center process. If your name changes, and that's something you'd have to update with the embassy. But regardless if you're the US citizen or immigrant beneficiary, yes, you can update your passport. It really just kind of depends on where you're at in the process and making sure you'll have it in time for the National Visa Center phase and for your interview. In some countries, it can be a long wait to get your passport. So waiting for that passport could cause a delay in your case. But in general, yes, you could update it. Okay. All right. Looks like I don't have any other questions. So it was wonderful to be with all of you here today.